Today I wanted to talk about some of the concepts that I learned working as a psychotherapist with families. And one of the ideas or homework assignments that I discovered working with one family is what I call the stop, go, and let's talk. And how this came about was I went into the family and there was a 4-year-old boy there. And when I went into the house, he was screaming at his mother, and he was also cursing at her. So I knew at this point that this was learned behavior, and he had learned it in the family system. And this was just something that needed to stop. So I talked to the parents, of course, and I asked them, do you yell at each other in the home? And they said, yes, we do that. We've had quite a few arguments. And I asked them if the children hear it, and they said yes. And I also asked them if they curse at each other, and they said, yes, we've done that. We've had a lot of stress and arguments, and they felt bad about it, but they admitted that they were doing that. So I said, there's some things that you're going to have to stop doing, and I advised them that I could come there as a therapist and work with them, but if they didn't stop doing certain things in the family, that nothing would change, and they would be basically wasting their time and they'd be wasting my time. So that was part of the concept of what I called stop. And there are two other points to this whole lesson was there are other things that we can do, or what I called go, in the family system, and then also let's compromise or talk, or let's work out an agreement together. But as far as the stop, there are a bunch of things that families need to stop doing. That could be drinking, drug abuse, could be domestic violence, certainly. That's a huge problem. And then the way we talk to people, the yelling, the cursing, not listening. These are all things that people can learn to change over time. And there are good classes on parenting skills. There's good coursework on communication. You can also go to therapy and counseling or groups. Many of these things are free. So certainly that's something you want to do because you do not want to learn and ingrain these behaviors into your lifestyle and interacting with your wife or your husband and your children and your family and your friends. You don't want to do this anymore. So that's where I came up with the theory that people need to really do what it takes to stop. And say you were drinking heavily or doing drugs or gambling, pornography, compulsive spending, things like that. There's a lot of help out there now. You can get support groups. You can get therapy. There's a lot of biblical church groups that will help you, like Celebrate Recovery. There's AA and NA, and also there's a number of different other programs you can study and learn from. But a big part of this, when you go into a change process and a healing and recovery process, you have to learn to be teachable. And so you have to ask for help and then be willing to listen, learn, and be teachable. And one of the theories that I like, and one of the slogans or saying that they have in AA and NA, is take what you can use and leave the rest. So you don't have to go in and agree with everything, but if you go into a recovery program, a recovery meeting, reading a good book that deals with conflict resolution or parenting skills or marriage and family enhancements, you can take what you can use and leave the rest. It doesn't have to be 100% agreement of everything that's presented. So that's an important concept, and what I learned is that there were things that people could change, and if you don't change them, the behavior that you model in your family system, your children are certainly going to pick it up, and then they're going to demonstrate it to their friends and people in school, and there are a bunch of things that you could follow to help teach you what's okay and what's not okay. One of the concepts that I learned and studied from one of the agencies I worked at, they called it the 3 R's. And that was respect yourself, respect other people, and respect your home or your environment or your school. So if you're doing something wrong, you can ask yourself, am I respecting myself? Am I respecting this other person? Am I respecting my home or my school or my environment? And if you're not doing that, then make yourself aware of a problem, because we really can't change a bad behavior unless we acknowledge it and we become aware of it. But the 3 R's, or the 3 respects, is something that's very easy to remember, and it's something you can do, and it helps you find a goal that is attainable. The other way you can judge this scenario is ask yourself, is this the way that I would want to be treated by someone else? So that would follow the biblical golden rule of do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And so that's another way that you can guess yourself or understand yourself if you're doing something that's wrong. Because sometimes we grow up in families that are pathological, and bad behavior becomes our normal. And over time, it's almost hard to recognize if we're doing something wrong. But these are some good guidelines and rules that will help you get back on track to treat your loved ones and your family and your friends in a way where you can just have much healthier relationships. Now, one of the therapists I liked a lot was William Glasser, and he would always ask people when they came into his office. He was the founder of reality therapy, or what they call choice therapy, and he would say to them when he came into their office, "So what brings you into my office today?" And when I read his book, he said, "I already know what brings people into my office. They're having trouble with their relationships in life." And that's a big thing to remember. We want to have better relationships with people. So we want to demonstrate loving kindness and forgiveness and respect, and just try to build peace into our family. So finally, some of the biblical fruit of the Spirit that we would look at and judge yourself on and say, how well am I doing in this area, would be the fruit of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control. And you can ask yourself a question to, say, my wife, I would say, "Honey, how well am I doing in the field of demonstrating love to you? And what's one thing I could do, just one thing, not a bunch of things, just one thing that I could do that would demonstrate to you that I love you more?" And then she would come up with a solution for me that I can do. The second side of that story, if you're in a marriage that needs some resolution, you can ask your wife and have her say to you, "Honey, what's one thing that I could do as your wife that would make me let you know that I respect you more?" And I'm following some of the concepts from the book called Love and Respect. And that's one of your primary drive needs for men, is respect, and for women, demonstrating love. So I'll leave you with this today. These are things you can do. These are things you can accomplish. They're attainable. And you will find that if you become teachable and you open yourself up to wisdom and discernment, biblical truth, and then you demonstrate that in your family and friends and in your marriage, that things are going to get a lot better very quickly. And then you'll also see, once you're successful in some of these areas, you're going to be able to scatter that and spread it into other areas of your life also. So I will see you in the next video.